Thank you very much. So we've got a packed agenda today, so I'm going to batter through as much as I can because I really want to hand over to the guys who are really going to talk about some of their key challenges. So I'm just going to run through very quickly about what the mill's really aspiring to do and some of the money that we've got to spend. So I'm not going to go too much detail. I think Lynn did a fantastic job there to really emphasize the potential and the kind of vision that Dundee is really exploring. Obviously the regeneration we can see all around us, the V&A, UNESCO, the electric vehicles, it's all kind of paramount to this vision that Dundee is really is on this journey. So the mill, the Mobility Innovation Living Lab, is all about testing out smart mobility solutions, and it's using the whole city as a test bed. And I think that's really a key component here. This isn't about just small and individual pilots. We really want to see how this can scale across the whole city, and then how those pilots can then become sustainable, create strong economic growth, create new jobs, and really scale out to other cities. And Scotland is really, other Scottish cities are really looking to Dundee to see what these solutions, how they can then be scaled out across to the other cities. So the mill, the Living Lab approach is really about bringing together a number of different ideas. So we've got our kind of ideation phase, which is really our first round of procurement is really sort of tapping into some of those challenges that we need to solve, and I'll go into those into a bit more detail. And then what we want to do is work with the companies, because we know how challenging it can be. You've got an interesting idea, but then you need to know who are the users, who do you engage with, how do you interface with the different components within the city, how do you build strong partnerships around those areas, and how do you get sustainability, and how do you make that grow? And that's really what we want to do at the mill, is to really help to facilitate that whole process, make that much easier for you to test out your ideas. And then importantly, the kind of venturing phase is really then we help to explore solid business models that you can then develop and take these ideas out to other cities. So it's definitely about scaling up. It's not just about running a pilot and then it ends. It's definitely about how do we create momentum around these ideas, because they're universal challenges. So as I said, co-creating, so this is all around sort of user-centered approach, so very much understanding real needs of real people. It's not just about deploying a cool piece of shiny technology because it's cool. It's got to be, what societal need is that? What need is that solving? We can then test that out using the city and all of the infrastructure that goes along within the city. So there's obviously a number of components, a number of pieces to that puzzle. I'm looking forward to helping with that. And then, as I said earlier, it's about scaling up and how do we take these ideas beyond Dundee and out to other cities across Scotland, across the UK and beyond, into the wider world. So our office, we're going to be in District 10, so we'll be moving in beginning of January. You know David. Paul, who's just joined us, is over there in the corner. So Paul's joining us as he's going to be the project manager and innovation manager for the mill. Paul grew up in Dundee, he moved away, and now he's coming back, so it's a fantastic story to see him coming back to the city and really embracing the opportunity here. Same for myself, I worked on the Future City Glasgow programme, so I'm really exciting to come and develop another really interesting large-scale programme in a new city. And we're growing our team as well, so more on that later. So we've got 950,000 to invest, and the procurements will be out in the new year, very beginning of the new year. I'm just going to rattle through those now, and then you're going to hear from the guys who are sort of the champions within each of these different lots. So lot one is shared mobility services, and we've got £200,000 to explore ideas around shared mobility. So this is the kind of mobility as a service idea, or how do we get people to not buy cars? How do we get people to use other forms of transport, public transport, car sharing, and active travel. Active travel's got some really aggressive, big targets. I think it's 40% we want to get to. 40% of travel within the city is by active travel, so that's walking or cycling. So some really big sort of challenges there. And the shared mobility space is a really interesting area to explore some of those ideas. Lot 2 is around solutions for fleets. So this is about, there's obviously there's a solid fleet already, but then it's how can we build on that? How can we expand on that? How can we bring in more partners? How can we work with other public and private partners, organizations to really change the mentality and move away from conventional fueled vehicles to much more efficient fleet management. That then really leads on nicely onto the parking services. So how do we solve there's lots of issues and challenges around parking, around EV parking, and lots of really interesting ideas that can be explored within there. So there's a good sized budget there to really test out some good ideas and see how then we can scale those, because there's a lot of, I think every UK city faces the same issue around parking. Lot 4 is around, so this is data. So everything that we'll be talking about here will produce some form of data. So we want to make sure that data is collected, shared, and then reused. Now, not everything can be completely open, but we'd love it if it could be. And then what we want to do with this lot 4 is to mash together different data sets and look at new efficiencies, look at new technologies, look at machine learning, artificial intelligence, all of these ideas, and how can we make use of this data that we're collecting. And then finally, lot 5 is a bike sharing scheme. So Dundee's had a number of bike sharing companies approach them, so we're wrapping that up into this procurement so we can start to try and join the dots. It links up nicely with lot 1, the mobility as a service. So how can it become more integrated and a really good solution there? So the ITT is up already on Public Contract Scotland's. So we'll share the slides with you later, so you don't need to write down the epic URL there. So the important part is the proposals, the call for proposals will be out in the beginning of January, and then there's a 4-week turnaround, and then we really want to kick off as soon as we can in 2018, early 2018. And then ideally for this ShareMORE pilot program, I mean, this, just to sort of reiterate, this is the first phase. This is like wave 1, and then we want to then develop and bring in more capital, more opportunities to build on this. But this first phase, ShareMORE, is to be completed in November 2019. That's when the spend needs to be spent. So that's me on a quick whistle-stop tour through the mill. I've got a couple of minutes just to very briefly talk about another exciting opportunity that we'd love to get you all involved with. And this is a Festival of Big Ideas that we want to have in the summer of 2018 in Slessor Garden, so just over there. We want to get a big top, and we want to get lots of different companies, different speakers, really exploring the potential of what smart cities mean, smart mobility, and exploring the kind of industrial fourth revolution. So all of these big changes that are going on around us, invite some excellent speakers along, and a chance for companies in Dundee and around the world to showcase the potential of what this can mean for people. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for sort of pop-up hubs as well as a large-scale event. So we're just in the process of pulling together some ideas and some plans for that, and then we'll start to share those. And we're really looking for some good sponsors who want to kind of step in and be involved in this program, because I think it's a really good opportunity. We've got the V&A opening up in the summer, so there's expected another 500,000 people will be coming to the city. So it's a really good opportunity to tap into that. So that's me. I'll just quickly kind of wrap up. So I think the key thing here is really is an opportunity to put Dundee and the Tay Cities region on the world stage. I think that's really the sort of key point. And the mill is a fantastic opportunity and there's some money there to enable us to start to test out some ideas, and then to really showcase some of those ideas in the summer of this year and beyond. We really see this as an ongoing sort of showcasing event. And the mill is about this. It's about bringing people together and enabling conversations and enabling these new ideas to happen. So my contact details are up there. We're not going to have time for questions at this stage. We'll probably have some time at the end to pick up any questions. So thank you very much.
So just to really underline what Simon was saying, effectively what we're offering through the mill is not just funding, although that's very nice thing to be able to offer to the community, but it's this kind of resource and expertise to help you engage with the city, its residents, its infrastructure, its transport operators, its data, and wider opportunities in the city that we might not have even thought of yet. So we'll have a dedicated team in the city that can help you to access those opportunities, and we can offer you funding to help make it happen. And hopefully you can also bring some great opportunities to us.